you'll notice that 60 to 70% of Americans suffer from insomnia, which is hyperarousal of your mind. So your mind won't shut down. People with high cortisol levels and chronic stress levels, they're going 900 miles an hour and the body is exhausted. And you might lay down at night and you're exhausted, but your brain won't stop. Your brain's just going. You'll wake up from 1 and 3 in the morning to go to the bathroom. You'll toss and turn at night. You'll wake up maybe even hungry. You can't sleep. You just randomly wake up. You'll start hitting a lull in the middle of the day. You'll have tons of energy in the morning, drop down in the middle of the day, tons of energy at night. So we're going to dive into some more things in a second, but those are just a few symptoms of cortisol. Now, we talked about inflammation, like, too much stress on the body from exercise, for example, produces inflammation. You can get high cortisol from fear, from financial stress, all these things. But I want to look at just exercise for a second, because this is what we see a lot of. Keep in mind, exercise is very, very minimal. I mean, I would never tell somebody not to exercise. I'm a personal trainer myself. I work out daily. And I would never tell somebody not to exercise, but how much are you exercising? Because plenty of people work out every day and don't look any different. And we don't want you to be one of them. So if it was just as easy as coming to the gym, get on a piece of equipment, and move around a bunch and lose weight, well, then everybody would do it. I wouldn't have a job. There'd be no need for personal training. This video would not exist. The fact that we have all these YouTube videos about how to lose weight, and we have all these books about how to lose weight, and the fact that I need to do a presentation on this proves that something is wrong. We either don't know what we're talking about a whole lot, and there's a lot of uncertainties out there, or the main concept of just eat less, exercise more, and exercise to lose weight isn't right. This proves that the concept of thermodynamics of eat less and exercise more isn't right. When we look at somebody like, let's say, Lance Armstrong or Michael Phelps, who exercise all the time, that's what we associate exercise with. We say, hey, let me work out all the time because I want to look like Michael Phelps. I want to look like Jennifer Aniston, or I want to be as skinny as Lance Armstrong. They work out all the time, so if I work out all the time, I'll be like them. Well, then we have people that run marathons. One of my first clients, when I first ever started, ran 6 marathons and didn't lose a single pound. And if I'd have known then what I know now, I would have loved to. I wish I could find him to apologize to him that I couldn't help him lose weight. Because even though he was exercising so much, you produce cortisol when you're under stress. It only takes 6 minutes of cardiovascular activity, of overtraining, to produce so much cortisol that your workout is shot, and you'll store tons of belly fat. There's plenty of overweight people that run marathons. There's plenty of overweight people that train for triathlon. There's plenty of overweight people that run a 5K. So are you telling me that Lance Armstrong is skinnier than you or skinnier than somebody else because he eats less than you? That's not true. Lance Armstrong and Michael Phelps do not weigh less than you because they eat less than you. That is absolutely absurd. There is a hormonal effect going on, and most likely it's cortisol. When we look at the belly and storing tons of fat in the belly, we can link the cortisol to insulin resistance, which will be a topic we'll go into in a couple weeks, and we'll look at carbohydrate consumption, but just arguing cortisol. If cortisol gets produced during exercise, and I have person A who works out 5 days a week at an hour and a half a time or an hour a time, running on the treadmill every day, and doesn't look any different, but I have person B that does very light intensity yoga and just does mild resistance training, and they're incredibly cut and incredibly lean, and they're fit, and this person kills themselves in the gym and they're not losing any weight. Why is that? Well, regardless of how little you eat, it doesn't matter. If you're producing all this cortisol, you're telling your body to store belly fat. So contrary to popular belief, we shouldn't be thinking, how hard can I come into the gym and destroy my body? We should be thinking, what's the most effective holistic approach? Am I running on the treadmill every day and not looking any different? Or am I running on the treadmill 2 or 3 days a week and taking yoga 3 or 4 days a week, because your recovery matters more than your actual exercise. And that's where it gets really interesting, because we shouldn't be pushing as hard as we can during our activity, because all we're doing is producing cortisol. I'm not telling you not to have hard workouts, but every day you're just putting more stress on a stressed body. So when you get off work and you've had a really long and stressful day and you're really upset, you just got an argument with your boss, whatever the reason might be, and you think, hey, I want to come work out, and you want to put more stress on a stressed body, we're doing a double negative. You're going to beat your body up even more and destroy your body and produce so much cortisol. It'll start breaking down your muscle mass. It will start increasing carbon sugar cravings. It will store belly fat, and you'll get skinny in your arms and legs, but you won't get any thinner here. Agitation, irritability goes up, mood swings. You can produce so much cortisol, you'll start getting, like women will start having a spotty menstrual cycle and then their actual menstrual cycle. Short-term memory is gone. All this stuff just from cortisol. Cortisol can be a nasty, nasty hormone that will destroy your body, which we don't want to do. So then what we look at as well is your cortisol trend. So what are we trying to do? So how do I manage my cortisol? All right. Well, cortisol, first off, your body functions on a circadian rhythm, which is your body's internal alarm clock. And that's kind of like if you went to sleep, like let's say it's Saturday and you don't have to work on Sunday, and you get tired at 10 o'clock. You can stay up all night if you want to, but you get tired at 10 o'clock. That's your body's circadian rhythm saying, hey, it's time for you to go to sleep, all right? Well, your body functions on this rhythm, mostly controlled by light, and it peaks the cortisol hormone, or it should peak the cortisol hormone, from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. That's when the heighten of cortisol is. If you've ever stayed up all night, you've probably noticed it's easier to stay up from 12 to 4 than it is from, let's say, 4 to 6 or 4 to 7, because you're starting to get real tired, all right? Well, you should wake up with the highest cortisol, all right? We want your cortisol really high in the morning, and then we want it to decrease all day long. And when you go to bed, we want it to take less than 7 minutes for you to go to sleep, all right? Now, sleep is extremely important, because sleep is the number one reason why people can't lose weight. And we're going to dive into that in another topic that we'll go through. But if you're not sleeping right, you're going to throw off your body's entire rhythm. And when you go to sleep, we want you to go to sleep in less than 7 minutes, no racing mind. I know some of you guys are laughing. Trust me, when you hear the end of this PowerPoint, we're going to get you going to sleep in less than 7 minutes. But we want you to go to sleep, wake up, and you're out. You don't remember your dreams. If you remember your dreams, you're not deep enough in sleep. We want you just out. Wake up with tons of energy. I don't want you to hit the snooze alarm when you wake up in the morning. When you hit the snooze alarm in the morning, you're going to throw off your cortisol for the entire day, because your brain operates differently than your body does. Your brain thinks, oh man, 5 more minutes. I can't wait to hit the snooze alarm, maybe 2 or 3 times, get some extra time in there. Your body goes, all right, time to go back to sleep. And it goes to sleep, and it starts to elevate the cortisol hormone. So you start storing more and more belly fat, all right? Now, what we want is high cortisol in the morning and decrease all day. Typically, that doesn't happen. Typically, what happens is you might have a person that, based on how their cortisol levels are going, they might wake up with really low cortisol, and they need 2 or 3 cups of coffee to get going in the morning. They just can't get going in the morning. Then you might have somebody who has tons of cortisol in the morning, and then they drop down in the afternoon, and they perk back up in the evening, all right? Or any disruption. You might be in fight or flight, which is a topic that we will go into in the future. It's pretty detailed, but basically it's just tons of energy, crash, tons of energy, crash, tons of energy, crash throughout the day. These are all signs of something called adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue is when your adrenal glands, for 2 reasons, either aren't pumping out cortisol or aren't getting the signal, all right? So what'll happen is, there's 2 theories behind it. One is that your adrenals get so exhausted and so tired from pumping out cortisol all day long from whatever reason. Chronic stress, like at work, or it could be tons of caffeine, it can be lack of sleep. Remember, cortisol is your energy, so if you're only sleeping 4 hours a night and you want to sprint for 16 hours throughout the day while you're awake, yeah, your body's not designed to do that, so it has to produce more cortisol to stay awake, and it messes up the rhythm, and you're living off coffee and monsters and caffeine pills and stuff just to stay awake. Well, we don't want that, all right? So that's all signs of adrenal fatigue. Now, how we can